I think we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome to the latest episode of the must-known blockchain use cases, brought to you by Thoughtworks and the Blockchain-Based Service Network, or BSN. We have a few panelists today. We actually have three, but one of our panelists, I think, has lost power momentarily, but hopefully will be joining us soon. And so with the panelists we have right now, I'd like to ask you to please introduce yourself and tell us what company you're with and what you're doing. So Gillian, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Hi, thank you, Tim, for the introduction, and great honor to be here to share what we do in Digital Art Fair. I'm the founder and fair director of Digital Art Fair, headquartered in Hong Kong. What I do, I work around digital art, and lately a lot of us in our team focus a lot on the blockchain related products and artwork as well. Our main business is around the physical fair and the online digital artwork. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Gillian. Great to have you. Gia, could you introduce yourself and tell us who you're working for?
Sure. Hi, my name is Leng. Jie is my first name. I'm the solution architect from Thoughtworks China blockchain team, and really thrilled to be here. I mean, being able to hear like different worlds from your eyes.
Great. Well, we're happy to have you here. Maybe Gia, you could start and tell us what NFT technology is, and you know, explain it in a way that everyone can understand.
Okay, all right, sure. So my personal understanding, NFT refers to non-fungible token. I think everybody knows. But in short, it's actually an identification technology based on blockchain. So you can see this is sort of a digital proof or certificate of a unique set of data on blockchain. So these data on blockchain is non-duplicatable or immutable. These features actually are enabled by the underlying blockchain technologies. So I think these features will give the NFT the capability to represent ownership or you know, of the data on blockchain. So so the data on blockchain is actually could be, you know, transformed into digital goods, as we can see all these digital collectibles on the market, and also it could be like digital assets since it claims the ownership and you know, it's transferable. And I think technically NFT originated from ERC-71 smart contract on the Ethereum blockchain, as compared to the ERC-20, you know, which you can generate fungible tokens based on this, you know, smart contract. So I think now NFT more refers to the application layer of NFT technology, as you know, the public percept. For example, a digital art generated collectibles, or you know, some kind of a game generated NFTs.
Okay, good. Well, so Gillian, over to you. So tell us what your organization is doing with NFT technologies and why. You're on mute. There you go.
Sure. So for Digital Art Fair, we come from my team come from a more traditional art world, and we find blockchain technology and NFT technology being able to help the art world to advance in a way that's never been before. For example, one of the most difficult to tackle issue in the art world is provenance. The provenance is where the art world come from, who made them, whenever they made. And in the traditional art world, it's very difficult to prove like when this work made. the only way to check is either from a gallery or from the writing or on the scribble at the back of the painting that artists might have made. Digital art, on the other hand, also very difficult to find. So there was a traditional art world to a digital art world, which is possibly a JPEG file or video. It's all very difficult to prove the provenance of where they're from, because when the work is being posted online, it's going to share and got shared to the other person kind of WhatsApp you or Telegram you or send it to WeChat. It's very difficult to find out who made this. And blockchain and NFT technology that we use at Digital Art Fair, we are one of the very first company in the world start researching and understanding how blockchain and NFT technology being able to tackle this very difficult issue that the traditional fine art will encounter. So at Digital Art Fair, we not only work with more traditional art forms such as installation, physical exhibition, we also use the blockchain technology to be able to let the digital art curators and artists to be able to share the digital art while using the technology and being able to share it online to the world while making sure that the work is being protected and the provenance being kept. So that's how we, in the hindsight, how we use blockchain technology in Digital Art Fair. And last year we launched Digital Art Fair in Hong Kong, and it was at the end of 2021, and it was very first time Hong Kong have encountered blockchain or NFT technology in real life. So we managed to do that, and it was a very, very great outcome from our side.
So give us a sense of the participation that you saw last year, and then also it'd be interesting to understand, how you see the NFT technology actually enhance the art buying experience.
Sure. So last year we were very fortunate to be supported by the Hong Kong art lovers and art collectors. We welcomed over 25,000 visitors during the fair, and we have sold over 100 NFTs during the fair and generated about 60 million Hong Kong dollars of sales of NFT art. And so that's only during the fair time. And for the art collector experience that Tim asked, we think the new generation of art collectors are super interested. They're very, very interested in new technology and starting to understand how it could apply to different industry. I'm sure the fine art world is just only one of them. Jerry can share more about the art industry and the gaming industry, the DeFi, etc. But fine art world-wise, I think artists tend to be the very first group of people that adopt and adapt. The reason because it's never been easy working in the fine art world. As an artist, it's never been easy. It's probably one of the most difficult jobs in the world. So when a bunch of artists and art administrators like myself find out, hey, this might be able to help us help our industry to tackle some of the long-standing issues such as provenance, such as how to let the artists get paid, that we think that it's a great innovation, is a great way to kind of revolutionize or kind of enhance the art buying experience for the art collectors. Being able to buy the artwork very quickly and directly towards the artist, and knowing that what you're buying is legitimate is very important. And for the artist to be able to reach out to the world, not just, usually you have to go to a local gallery, you have to ship your artwork, you have to print it, you have to sign it, you have to get a contract. The list goes on. But with blockchain and NFT, everything's a bit more streamlined. There are still some sort of, like you still have to upload your file, you still have to mint it, but the process is much more easier. And when it's easier, it means it's better for the artist and art as well. Sorry, Tim, you muted.
Sorry, I got muted. Gia, maybe you can tell us like to learn more about what Thoughtworks is doing related to NFTs, and then maybe you can also talk about other use cases for NFTs beyond the art world.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost like the service provider or the companies behind digital art fair. We're the service providers. So actually, Thoughtworks is a NASDAQ-listed global software consultancy company, originated from Chicago, and we specialize, making ideas into powerful softwares for enterprises for almost about 30 years. So we have like more than 10,000 Thoughtworkers globally and 2,500 strong in China, including Hong Kong and Macau. So we have a very distributed blockchain team in China since 2017. Since then, we tried and helped lots of our clients, for the experiment of on the blockchain applications. So personally, I think, from the technology side, NFT technology has the potential. I believe it has the potential to reshape our current IT system. I mean, in terms of the identification or account management, and also it has the potential to enable, I would say, the establishment of metaverse or the future virtual world, whatever you call it. And Thoughtworks always have this tradition, to be responsible to for social goods and justice. So we're really concerned about, the other side of this NFT phenomenon, especially for excessive carbon emission generated by the NFT activities on some of the public blockchain. And also, the potential harm brought by, harmful hypes on the NFT trading. But, we're seeing pretty much contain the situation, or I would say environmentally friendly infrastructure in China in terms of NFT business. So that kind of that's kind of good news to our team. I mean, I recently have seen the BSN DDC platform. I think it really sets a good example of it. So given this, I think it gives us the courage and also the opportunity to focus on helping our clients to tap into this area and explore, to help them to form new type of possible interactions with their customers. So what we do, actually, internally, we're building this NFT toolkit for clients to build and operate NFT business in China in a relatively low cost and fast way. And externally, we're actually providing this end-to-end enterprise NFT solution to the market. End-to-end means, the services covers from NFT product strategy, the visual design of, the whatever, whether it's a digital art or it's some form of a representation, and also the software delivery and the go-to-market strategy. So we have really a complete set of, capabilities and resources to support this. Regarding the other question, I believe, is there any applications beyond art in terms of NFT, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we hear a lot about digital collectibles and digital art, and Gillian has talked about that a bit. And I think that the NFT technology is a foundational technology that goes beyond art and collectibles, which is what we see today. So I'd just be interested in hearing what you're seeing globally and in China.
So as I mentioned, fundamentally, NFT is a identification technology. So obviously, the simplest application is to represent an object, whether it's a product or an asset, or like a certificate or even account. So that's why we're seeing these digital collectibles are being so popular right now. But we're not seeing this whole virtual world or consensual social system on top of that. So this gives people the feeling of lacking, the sense of necessity, or you can say lack of utility, for the creation of NFT. So I beyond art, I do see like two directions in the use of NFT technology. Both ways will be something never exists before. There are different applications, but I think they share a similar vision, that is giving back the data to people, or the owner, the real owner of the data. So one direction is metaverse. We can see a very preliminary version of it now. If you look at, or you can say the game version. For instance, like in the play to earn crypto games, I'm not sure if you guys have played it. Players owns the digital asset, right? And if they don't like the game, they can leave with their digital asset, without any permission from anybody. And of course, you have to regardless the visual or in the perception of this metaverse. I'm sure it will get better. The other direction is the shared, I call it the shared ID, the shared ID or account system, account management system. This will be associated with our, real life. For example, NFT technology could be part of, could be able to, to recompose the account system of any platform or system existed. And you can actually divide the account system into many sections. So one section is controlled by the users, right? And, only the private key owners can access this part of data. And the other section could be controlled by the government for some necessary administrative purpose. Some of the sections could also be controlled by, the commercial parties, like insurance companies and whatever. So this shared ledger actually with, layered account management feature could actually potentially, bring new rights to people and new business models or new business opportunities to the players or companies. And also, I believe it will also bring new balances to the society. And but if I take it back to the projects that we're doing in terms of NFT, so we actually get lots of requests from brand clients in China. And they're seeing this market respond as the young generations, they're buying all these NFTs or digital collectibles, issued by some famous organizations or brands. They're almost instant sold out. As I tried many times, I couldn't get one. So although, the Chinese government has, very restricted ban on this secondary transaction of NFT within the Chinese market. But still, the brands are trying to utilize this, I call it fanaticism, to reconnect or catch attentions from its fans or the potential ones. So issue NFT and based on their most favorite IP, and create some very different interactions or perceptions with their users. So we're actually working with some of our clients, which are all top brands in their areas, help them to design and build NFT platform, and also integrate the whole NFT module to their existing loyalty program system, in order to create more interesting interactions with their users.
I want to get to Rich in 1 second, just because he was able to join. But just real quickly, this really addresses a question that one of the audience asked, just around big brands experimenting with NFTs. How could they do that in mainland China without public blockchains, Jia?
Yeah, I mean, so in mainland China, you could not operate a public blockchain or any activities based on public blockchain,
Right.
as far as I know. So I think, like I mentioned, BSN is really set up a really good example and provide this, really good blockchain infrastructure in the market, in the place. Basically, I mean, you have this open permission blockchain, right? Basically, you can connect with different, permission blockchain to form a public chain like blockchain. So
yes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a few projects going on based on the BSN infrastructure. This is one thing we're seeing, but the other players, like some internet giants like Tencent or Ant Group, they actually have their I would call it private. I mean, they call themselves open permission blockchain. But actually, from my understanding, I think it's probably just a private blockchain. So of course, they're not going to alter the data or the things on the blockchain. But still, there's no like multiple parties to hold this infrastructure,
Right.
which is brings the questions from people about the whether people can trust this platform or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're a big brand wanting to experiment with NFT technology in mainland China and do it in a way without using cryptocurrencies and public blockchains, they should contact you, and you can help them think through their strategy and connect them to the BSN BDC network.
Sure, that'd be great. I mean, China market is big. Although the Chinese government has all these limitations on this market activity, but still, we see a lot of potentials in this market. And if there's any public chain projects or any companies has this ambition to go into the China market, and but you need to have patience.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, we can help with that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Rich, I know you had some power issues there. Glad you could join us. Maybe you can give us a quick introduction of yourself and your organization and what you're doing related to NFTs.
Thank you so much, Tim. I am right now in the island of the gods in Bali, Indonesia. I've been a pandemic refugee here for 2 years. Here 2 years ago, spent 4 years in Hong Kong, 20 in Beijing. I've been through 8 startups during that time as an exec or an advisor, and I'm an investor and I teach entrepreneurship at Peking University. And last year, I became an advisor to Animoca Brands there in Hong Kong, one of the pioneers and leaders in the Web3 space. And a few months later, I became entrepreneur in residence, focusing on play to earn. That is the sort of wheelhouse in which I operate around games, guilds, and tools in that play to earn gaming space.
Great. So Gillian, let me come back to you for a second. Could you talk a little bit about the artists you work with and their reaction or to NFT technology, and how they, and do they feel like it helps them, or gives them more canvas for their creativity? How do they think about it? You're on mute there, Jill.
Got it. So it is. I feel I started digital warfare. I actually know about the blockchain technology quite late. In 2018. I started researching on it. I started learning about it. At first, the artists is not, like no one has any idea back then. In 2018, maybe for some of you that are more deep in tech, like you guys know, but for artists, like not really. At first, when I mentioned blockchain and NFT, actually NFT weren't even a word back then, 2018. For the artists, like, okay, blockchain and authenticity, like how do you prove it, the provenance, how going to talk. So at first there were not a lot of interest. There were not a lot of interest for sure. And when we started your offer in 2020, the artists are still quite skeptical because, like we heard about Beeples, we heard about other big auctions number that like end of the NFTs work. But fast this, and once after that kind of like idea kind of clear out and people start learning more about it, they read more. For example, in Animoca for sure, like they learn more about it, and different places, open seas and all different platforms is kind of like now there are new artists, I would say, using this mix to be more creative. And then there are also the traditional artists and traditional galleries that want to learn, like, what is NFT? So now the artwork is getting very exciting because everybody wants to know what is NFT, not just the brands that I mentioned. Brands are very excited, artists are very excited, because now understanding, in my words, is that your work now can be shared not just locally in a gallery. You can go online, you go to China, you can go to Europe, you can go anywhere with technology. And that's never been heard of, because traditionally art world is very, very exclusive. It's very small circle. So that changed the dynamic a lot, and the artists now are super excited, and gallery collectors, etc.
Great, good. Hey, Rich, a question for you. There in the mainstream press, you'll often read a lot about skeptics of NFT technology. As someone who's deeply involved with the technology and the business around, what would you say to the NFT skeptics?
I think that this is to be expected. I can remember back in 1998, I started an internet networking event in Hong Kong called I&I, and I had invited somebody from the ad world who was a little bit bah humbug around banner ads. And we had an entrepreneur come and speak, and the place was packed. The old Farama Hotel, 350 people, an entrepreneur from China. And the South China Morning Post asked him, what about revenues? And the entrepreneur said, revenues? We're running too fast for revenues. And the person I had invited slammed his glass down into the table, and it spilled everywhere. He said, charlatan, and he stormed out. And that entrepreneur was Jack Ma. That was a 50-person, Alibaba. And, he then later bought the SEMP. But I think the point there that in the early days, things look like a toy. They look a little bit even perhaps silly, and they don't fit into the existing paradigm. And it's easy to dismiss them. I really believe that within a half decade, the vast majority of games will be built around NFTs. I mean, Web 1, 95 to 2005, you could just read the internet. It was like a brochure. 05 to 2020, read, write. And by write, I mean post something to YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. As of last year, it's read, write, and own. And Yat Siu, our fearless leader there in Hong Kong, he contends that we have all been digital serfs, SERFs, under the house of Zuckerberg, the lords of Facebook and Activision Blizzard and Twitter and TikTok, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, where we till the land and we produce 600 kilos of sweet potatoes / data, and the lord of the land says you can keep some scraps for your family. Thank you very much. Thank you for letting me lose your land. And like that's how we lived as humans under that sort of like feudalism. And it's almost inconceivable to those people back then that right now we all live like lords. We have non-seasonal fruit, and we have all of our teeth, and we can fly, and we can watch a $350 million production on a little screen. It's like things are magic for us, and that's what a free market economy will produce. And there's going to be such incredible changes around NFTs as stores of value, stores of culture within games, and so many other things that we can't even imagine. That people will be posting headlines of the naysayers in a few years saying, silly, everybody looked. I can still understand people don't want to change, and there's always some kind of resistance, but resistance is futile, if I may say.
Yeah,
great, good.
Yeah, what we said is you kind of reminded me you said it really well, because you kind of reminded me like how the artists kind of like back in the galleries, like can you give us something, like you never know what the price out there, you're giving pennies as an artist, and now the freedoms go back to the artists, which is great. So we are living in a much better place with the NFT and the new technology.
We a question from the audience, and Gia, I'm going to direct this one to you because you're more of the technology guy here. What are the basics that go into creating an NFT for someone who doesn't know anything about it? How would I create an NFT?
I mean, this is really not too techy because there are a lot of platforms already there. I mean, you can, with regard of the use of the digital wallet, it might, has some, different experiences. If you use the digital wallet other than, the traditional mobile wallet. So other than that, I mean, it's easy. But technically, the foundation is blockchain technology, or RC721, a smart contract. I'm not sure this is answered to the question.
I think it's good. Another question, we have a member of the audience who has been making her own digital art NFTs. And the question she has is, as an individual artist, how can she generate exposure for the NFTs that she's created? And so I turn that one over to you, because I think that's definitely your area of expertise. What do you say to an aspiring NFT artist?
I think being an NFT is no very conditional. First of all, you got your art well and you're ready to mint it. You need to try platform, first of all. You're going to choose a platform that you feel that you are being, there are many of them that you can choose. If you come to digital art fair, the platform is that you get a physical show as well, but if you go to other platform, they're mainly online. Then you need to make sure that your handles, your Instagram, your Twitter, your WeChat, they're all ready. You got your artwork ready, you got your website ready. You're ready to promote yourself and making sure that your artist statement is out there. So a lot of them is no different to real life. You you promote yourself in all different channels. Only the way that is on a NFT platform, and a lot of things are on the website now. There are any more other applications that make you stand out? For example, if you know how to get on the metaverse, you can build a gallery on the metaverse. You can use all different application. You can make AR, VR version of your artwork as well. That would definitely make you stand out. And also for the art curation purpose angle as well, we want to look for artists that are dedicated in the NFT art space. A lot of the time, art collectors and conditional artwork criticize the NFT world as some of the artwork is not being put in effort in, or you just people some draw a simple JPEG and upload it. You don't want to become that person. You want to become that one that's for yourself. And Sandbox also have a lot of appreciated applications you can use, so the resources pick the right path.
Great, good advice, Gillian. Rich, a question over to you. So you're a entrepreneur in residence there at Animoca, and so helping them kind of push forward into the metaverse and gaming. I'd like to hear your kind of vision of the future. Like, what is mass adoption of NFT technology look like, and when do you think we'll see it? You referenced back to the internet in the late 1990s, so you've been through that kind of technology adoption curve. How do you think that plays out for NFTs? Hey, you're on mute there, Rich.
We are in such early days right now. The number of people that own an NFT or who are actively playing, NFT-based games is still in the, that crossover is still in the single-digit millions, whereas the largest community in the world, Facebook, no, like global Christianity or Catholicism, no, it's gamers, 3.2 billion gamers. And that's growing apace as well too. And gaming is a ginormous category. My boys are 18 and 16, and all of their time and treasure is games. It is a 180 billion, soon to be $250 billion industry. And global music, 25 billion, global entertainment, 100 billion. So it dwarfs that combined. So we are going to grow into that and to expand that. And it is going to be an economy where people have ownership inside of games, inside of metaverses. But here's the part that excites me the most, and why I joined this quest with Animoca, is the ability to do well, but also do good. So with two things that I've observed, I spent the last 24 years in China, and AI and automation, I think in the lab, the US still seems to be leading, but in the wild, meaning like actual applications, China is far ahead, far ahead. Sort of like, think about when they extracted the DNA from the blood in the mosquito, in the amber, and then created dinosaurs. That was done in the lab, but then Jurassic Island. And like, that's what's happening in China, just that intense evolution and competition around, AI and automation. And that's been accelerated by COVID. And I often lead tours into China, and people are like, what's gonna happen when there's a seismic societal shift and things become heavily automated and AI starts really, taking over jobs? And my grandparents were born in the 1800s in Ireland. I have dual citizenship with Ireland, and it was all agriculture their entire life, most of the world. And by the time my grandmother passed away in 92, there were TV announcers and enterprise software and salespeople and all kinds of other new jobs 3-4 generations later. But we're talking a half generation, and what's going to replace those jobs? I never knew at all. And then on the other side of that, the Gini coefficient, the disparity in income, the rich getting richer, and the people in the lower rungs unable to move up, that's actually going to be even exacerbated. And what is, not the solution, but actual, something that can contribute to that is yielding digital assets, taking digital assets and helping them to yield. Right now, that is mostly manifested inside a game called Axie Infinity, made by Sky Mavis. We happen to be the first investors there. Think Pokemon has 3 different characters, and you're battling against 3 other different characters, and those characters are NFTs. And those have mostly, they appreciate it in value. Now the economy is still kind of, getting its footing, but through the entire paradigm of this game, a phenomenon called play to earn was spawned from the Philippines, where someone said, oh, wow, the value of these NFTs are going up. It's kind of out of reach for the average person who might make, say, $1 an hour, like $1 US an hour, right? $40 a week, $2,000 a year, pretty common in the Philippines or here in Indonesia. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to loan out my Axies. I'm going to create a scholarship. Someone can play on my behalf, and then they earn something called SLP, Smooth Love Potion. And, and there are many other games right now that are live and that will be live where players can earn. And there's always been these elite players in like esports, and then kind of the masses now, which are growing out with these play to earn games. And soon there's going to be AAA games on consoles, on PCs. And there's going to be kind of a middle class where people will be able to own NFTs that yield and then be able to earn 30, 50, 100, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And, the math that I do that kind of like makes me bound out of bed in the morning is 165 million people making $1 an hour. And why do I say that? Just because I think if you have 165 million people either completely replacing their income and or supplementing their income for about $1 an hour, then they probably have 5 people attached to them in the developing world. Generation, somebody, older, maybe a partner, maybe, cousin, or, maybe kids. And that's 1 billion people. So that's 1 billion people who are, have like income and dignity and agency and freedom, to work from wherever they want, anywhere around the world. And that is still in very low single-digit millions, and it's going to go to tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and then into the billions. And we are going to be operating within the metaverse, and there will be people doing jobs that we couldn't even conceive of, just like my grandmother couldn't, when she was, growing up in Ireland.
Good. So what about barriers to mass adoption? Gia, I'm going to get a view from each of you, but starting with you, Gia, what do you think are the barriers
Sure.
for NFT technology to reach that mass adoption level?
So as I explained before, NFT technology, the core NFT technology is it's an identification technology based on a blockchain. So people need to have the awareness of the potential or the value of the application of this technology. As I mentioned, there are 2 directions. One direction is going to metaverse or so-called virtual world. The other direction is we go to get to upgrade our account system or account management system in this current organization or society. So that will given us this opportunity to have back the control of our own data. So both way, they all do good on the giving back the data to the people. So for number 1, that's awareness. Number 2, I think it's technology wise or the infrastructure maturity. So like the blockchain NFT technology is still a long way to go. I mean, right now we can only be into making identification mark with digital native asset or goods. But in the future, is it possible for us to to attach it with a lot more substances. And also technologies related to the virtual world perception, for instance, AR, VR, XR. And number three, I think it's regulation. So is there going to be a sustainable environment for these technologies, these players, these innovative trials to continue evolving?
Great. So Gillian, same question to you. What do you think are the barriers for mass adoption of NFT?
That's a tricky question, because to me, in the art world, I would say is we are pretty much all in from what I see right now. The gallery, like maybe, okay, I'll take away the galleries, not to say, because the galleries seems to be a little bit slower to adopt. And the reason of that is because traditional galleries have been operating in a way that's very, very exclusive, very, very like, it's like the 0.1% of our collectors in the world that will work with galleries, because of the richer are the richest. But the NFT world have bring in enormous numbers of curators that will be able, because the bar is being kind of lower. Traditionally, you have to go to a gallery. The galleries need to look at the 1 year, there's 6 shows, 1 show per person. There's 6 artists they represent a year. That's not because of the artists are not talented. The reason is just because the space and the resources are limited. With NFT, the possibilities is unlimited. Like the gas fee might be $10 to $150, but then the bar is much lower. You can reach an audience much bigger. So for curators and artists, NFT technology is the best thing that ever happened to them in a very, very, very long time. So for the art world, I think the galleries is also getting to want to be in here, because now the Sotheby's and Christie's and Phillips, they're all doing the NFT, and it's proven that it's doing so great. The gallery is like, now I have every reason to want to be in the NFT world, because I already have the credibility. And if I tell you that this is the best of the NFT you should look at, then I can't see there's a problem of adoption from the art collectors. And like for the creators as well, there are multiple ways to promote yourself. There are loads of NFT projects out there that's doing amazing. On top of there is like new technology that Jay talked about. There's AR, the XR, the new technology there to just set out to unleash all the creativity the artists now be able to get the attention that's never really happened before, because it used to be so difficult to be in the art world. Now it just, from what I see right now, the adoption is going to happen. It is happening, and it's proven to happen. Yeah.
Great, good. Rich, I'm going to ask you the same question, but there's a question from the audience that I think is right in your wheelhouse, which is, can you shed some light on the metaverse real estate business, which is close to or tightly pinned or underpinned by NFT technology? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know Animoca has been in the news recently with Sandbox and the purchase of virtual real estate by some investors.
Certainly, yeah. Sandbox is something that we helped to start, and we're the biggest shareholder and landholder, and Decentraland, and a number of other metaverses as well. And the entire mission and vision of Animoca that stems from Yatsio is this open metaverse. Let hundreds, dozens, thousands of different metaverses grow and flourish, and we want to participate in that. And they'll be delineated in the same way that we do in the real world with I love Miami, I love London, I also love Ubud and Bali, and I love the all 20,000 restaurants in Tokyo. And so I think people will have their metaverses that they love, multiple metaverses. There's also going to be different tribes. I love doing yoga and that kind of tribe, or meditation, and people will delineate and choose metaverses based on that. And our idea is to help to grow that open, decentralized ecosystem and not walled gardens. And there are there's a real parallel to these sort of city idea where there's scarcity of real estate, and you want to be part of that tribe, part of that city. Then there's value to be derived from being part of that from the beginning. And it's not going to have completely direct parallels to real estate or to some sort of exclusive membership, but those will be two very, very strong components. There's also going to be entertainment and commerce and many other aspects to it as it evolves and eventually flourishes.
Sorry, I was on mute. And then Rich, the question that I asked to Gillian and Gia, what do you see as the barriers of mass adoption of NFT? Gillian doesn't see any. She thinks it's going, it's off. Gia sees a few. I'd love to hear what your
and there's
thoughts
a line from Zorba the Greek. I got 3 kids, and he's like, oh, me, I'm married, got a wife, got 3 kids, a house, a job, the whole catastrophe, right? But he loves it. He obviously loves it and loves the messiness of it. And right now, it's actually extraordinary how much momentum Web3 has, because in many ways it is kind of a catastrophe, just like the early days of the internet. If you think about the early days of the internet with 30 or 40 million people, like, oh, you got to get a dial-up modem, you got to do some TCP IP handshake, you got to get like a low, a processor and a PC, and you're rewarded with very, very flat brochure-like websites at very low speed, and that quickly morphed. And that's very similar to right now. I mean, to be able to get, you need cryptocurrency, and then you need to be able to get on, MetaMask, and then you need to be able to, create mint or purchase NFTs. And then it's kind of a Wild West aspect. And, there's a lot of things called rug pulls where people can, take your digital assets away. And it's very much like the Wild West in many regards, but it's really sort of like, I love coconut kefir, that drink. It's great for my gut biome. And you put the kefir in there and it just eats up all the sugar and it converts it into, something that's really good for your gut. And I think that's what entrepreneurs do. They look at all of these problems, all of these barriers, all of these challenges, the whole catastrophe, and it's just delicious. It's a feeding frenzy and they're eating up all of these problems. And every day it's getting easier and easier and better. So nobody's asking in the future anymore, how do I make an NFT or what's an NFT? It's so smooth and so seamless. And it's gonna be something like when I lived in China, when people made the transition from cash to WeChat Pay or Alipay, nobody wants to go back to cash after that. It's just so incredibly just lubricated and smooth and seamless. There's going to be so many wonderful new things that you can do in this on-chain world that couldn't be done before. And then you can actually have ownership and have a lot of creative combinations of things. And that's all going to get smoothed over. And I think 2023 is already going to be a completely different world.
Great, thanks, Rich. We have a few more minutes left, and there's some questions from the audience that I want to get some answers. So please make your answers brief. So first for you, Gillian, how does the new technology of NFTs and blockchain impact the practice of art curation, if at all? You're on mute, Gillian.
It's so different this day. I used to go through all this catalog, the artwork, we have to photograph everything, and then you go through all of them, and then you check the artwork, you ship the artwork, you build a catalog, you print it. It's just online. Everything is seamless, and you choose the work. You don't obviously the work will be digitalized, going to be animation or video or JPEG, and the way that you look at it, it's not much different from like, the story is still the same. It just is from physical going from digital. So the core of art never changed. It's still artwork. It's still a message to be sent across by an artist who created, who used the brain, who used the idea to try to tell you something, but it just turned digital. So that's a simple answer to that.
Great, thanks, Gillian. So 2 questions for you, Jeff. The first question, have you given any thought to NFTs and smart city design, construction, and management? That's the first question. Second question is, the NFT marketplaces that you're talking about, are these centralized or decentralized? And if they're decentralized, please elaborate.
So the first question, at the earlier of this webinar, I talked about, the NFT end-to-end, solutions, enterprise solutions we have in our team. We're building this internal NFT toolkit in order to, to build it in a very relatively low cost and a fast way. So definitely, we're working with some of our clients, help them to, to build and operate NFT or digital collectible businesses in China. The smart city design and construction management. I mean, Thoughtworks China team has a crew member of 2,500. So, from a lot of areas, we helped. We have participated in some of the smart city projects across the China mainland. So, if you have any more precise needs or more information, really welcome to connect. And the second question is, I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Second question is that the NFT marketplaces that you were talking about, working on the projects, are those centralized or decentralized? And if decentralized, can you elaborate? Okay,
all right. So the projects that I mentioned, the NFT marketplace is actually owned by the brand. But also some of our clients are, suggesting, hey, can we just, go to some other established platforms, because they have all these, existing users that are able to, to get more exposures with the help of this platform. So I would say these platforms within the mainland, most of them are centralized. I have to say that, but it can be built on a distributed blockchain infrastructure based on BSN OPB. So doable, yeah. Okay, great. Well, I want to, on behalf of BSN and Thoughtworks, I want to thank all 3 of you, Gillian, Gia, Rich, joining today. And Rich, hopefully your power stays on and is consistent there. But thank you all for joining, and we look forward to having you on another panel sometime in the future.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.